Frank owns a restaurant in Rumson, New Jersey, and we recently had a chance to sit down and talk to him about what inspired him to start cooking.
I think women enjoy food more than men.
Really?
Although a lot of them try to hide it. But I think they really do. My grandfather was he wasn't a chef, but in my eyes, he was an amazing chef. He used to make this polenta, and he would put this like spicy sausage ragu on it, which I think it's unbelievable, and I've been making that. And then I think just, as the years went by, I realized how much I enjoyed doing it and how much I enjoyed satisfying people.
Hi, welcome to my house. Thank you so much for coming. I'm making bolognese. How do you say it?
Bolognese. And you know what it's called, Bolognese?
No, I don't.
Okay, Bologna is a city in northeastern Italy. A very, very beautiful city, as a matter of fact. And Bolognese is a dish that actually was created in that region. So hence the name Bolognese.
Well, I make my bolognese a very simple way. Sometimes it takes hours to make bolognese. I know that you make one at the restaurant that takes a couple hours.
Couple hours.
Well, my bolognese is very simple. It will take you about 20 minutes or maybe 10 minutes to prep, an hour to cook, but it's very simple because what I do, instead of chopping an onion, I buy the pre-cut onions. It might cost a little bit of money. In the long run, you'll be saving time and probably waste in your refrigerator. Voila.
Easy as that.
But then I'm not so happy, so I want to totally.
Really go all the way.
This is not just for aggression or a bad day at the office. And what I do is I push it all up onto the knife for an easy carryover. All right. So after I smash my garlic, I put it in here.
I love that sound.
Isn't it? And the smell is amazing. But you don't want to burn your garlic. What happens if you burn your garlic?
It gets a little bitter.
And then the whole dish is ruined. What you really want is the garlic to be infused into the olive oil.
All too often we opt out of cooking in our own kitchens to get dinner out. Well, Frank has his own thoughts on this.
There is a certain sex appeal that a guy has behind in a kitchen.
I think people should utilize their kitchens more than they do. The kitchen is not just to pick up food and put it on a kitchen table. I've been in homes that have these beautiful, where I'm going,
Me
beautiful $300,000, $400,000 kitchens that could just.
All they need is a microwave.
And they use the microwave, and it's heartbreaking to know that they have all those elements that they could definitely use, and they choose not to.
I agree.
Because sometimes it's easier to go out, sometimes it's easier,
It's great to go out to Georgia's.
It is great to go out to Georgia's. But at the same time, it's also great to stay home and enjoy a night with your husband. And
see how the olive oil and the garlic has infused with the garlic? Started to get a little brown. The smell of garlic. You smell the garlic. It smells so good.
It just smells delicious.
So now I want to throw in our celery. Oh, Frank, my sous chef, I'm so flattered.
I love it.
Oh my God. Little carrots.
And your white onions.
And my white onions. I'm doing over medium heat, and what I want them to do is just sweat for a little bit, remove the garlic from the olive oil from the bottom. Whoops, messy chef is a happy chef. So it doesn't burn anymore. And now this is just gonna sweat a little bit more on medium heat.
How long does this usually take when you do it?
This would cook, for about 10 minutes. And then I'll add the veal on the other side, just to save time and dishes, so guys don't really need to have to clean that many pots. And I'll leave you alone. Now I have the sauteed vegetables. Save time and cleanup. I'm just going to put the veal on the other side of the pot. and it's going to brown. Doesn't matter because the juices all get together, and once the veal is all brown, you stir it together.
Right.
It's not a smart idea?
Quicker.
Definitely. Leave it alone.
Now this should take how long, more or less?
It would take probably like 5 to 7 minutes.
Right.
You don't want to overcook it, so it's tough. And
Just
then-
bring a little bit of that flavor out before
Exactly.
you throw in the rest.
And by not playing with it too much, it really...
It'll cook a little quicker the less you move it around also, I've noticed.
There's an emotion you feel when you cook, a feeling that brings you back to another place. Frank explains how certain flavors in the kitchen bring him back to when he was a child in the old country.
How do you feel when you cook? Where does it take you?
I think it takes me to a place that I enjoyed being, that my growing up, my hometown, my the smell of thyme, and when I'm making a soup and I'm and I'm peeling the little leaves off the thyme, and you get that scent. You get that scent, and I just close my eyes for a second, and it takes me back maybe when I was 8, 9 years old, and I'm walking around in my town, and you get the smells that come out of the houses at like 12 o'clock noon. When you walk in any small town in Italy, 12 o'clock noon, you get all the different smells of roasted peppers, of anything, of grilled vegetables. Depends on the season, but especially in the summer, you get all these things. That's what I feel. I feel like I'm being taken away, and for a moment I feel relaxed and satisfied, and I feel therapy.
My next step is I add flour. Now the flour, it's about 3 tablespoons. And it uses as a thickening agent. Have the flour cook for about 2 minutes. The next thing I want to add.
It's starting to look like bolognese.
Well, the trick with this bolognese is that there's a lot of vegetables in it that even if your kids don't like vegetables, they're not even going to see it.
They're not even going to notice it.
But I'm not a secret, I don't like doing secret food.
Right.
But I think this is also a delicious way of serving healthy vegetables.
Right. So you cook your wine down.
Cook your wine down for like a minute. And then I'm going to put, it depends, you know what, if you're making it for a family, you might not want to add that much. You can always add more later. You don't really have to add it all at once. And you know how much I like my hot peppers. I like my food spicy.
So do I.
And then I add one, what does that say?
Your 6
ounce. Now, have you ever made it this way?
I have not. I've seen it made this way, but...
You have not seen it made this good, then.
Well, not this good, of course, but this is the good and quick way. My town is a little small town on a hill.
Where?
And it's in the west coast of Calabria, and it's called Spilling.
Where in the?
Calabria is the bottom of the foot of the boot. It's right above Sicily. It's the last part of the peninsula, and we grew up in a very tight-knit kind of community. Town only has 2,000 people, so everybody knows everybody. There's a lot of little towns, but my particular town has, we have the Mediterranean in the front, and then we have all the hills in the back. And every morning, you would hear a bell ring at like 7 o'clock in the morning. It would be the shepherd coming into town selling the products that he made that day. And the ricotta would be one of those, and he would sell it in these little cups kind of things that he would dump it out and put in these pieces of paper, and it was still warm. The ricotta was still warm.
After the tomato paste, I add an entire quart of chicken stock because the veal does not have a lot of flavor in it. And they're like, oh my goodness, you just ruined it.
Oh.
And if that cooks down...
Now, how long would you cook this for?
You need to cook that for 30 minutes, add another can of tomato paste, and then another 30 minutes. Do not cover it.
That looks delicious already.
Just wait. The last thing to add all the flavor is my dry herbs. Put them down here, and I wrap them like you're tying a shoelace. You've done this 1,000 times. There doesn't need to be, everyone gets all scared that it has to be wrapped up beautiful, but at the end...
We just want the flavor, we don't want the way it looks.
And you're gonna take it out, and just make sure that they're wrapped like
tight enough that
they're not gonna disperse.
Fall apart, right.
And you're just gonna pick them up. And if these add flavor, but if that bothers you, just rip them off. throw them away. Then you throw that into your pot. Done. And after an hour, after everything is cooked, you're going to take that out as well.
And you got all the...
And for the special ingredient is I just bury it in the chicken stock, bring it to a boil, and then bring it down to a simmer. After a half hour, I add more tomato paste, and then I cook for another half hour, and then it's done. I see a necklace. What is that?
Okay,
What is that necklace about?
this one is it's a rosary that came from the Vatican because I got sick a few months ago. I had a little bit of a cancer. My hobbies are what keeps me going. Anything that could get my adrenaline pumping as much as cooking does.
Okay, now it's been 30 minutes and the stock has started to thicken a little bit, but what I like to do after 30 minutes is add another can of tomato paste. See, the color is not...
It's not your deep red.
It's not your deep red. Watch it change. Once I add this other can of tomato paste, and then I mix this in, it changes to a rich bolognese. And let that simmer for another 30 minutes. The next thing we should do while your bolognese is cooking is take pasta. I happen to like rigatoni. So then we're gonna throw this in salted water and I cook it for whatever it says on the package, a couple minutes less because I like it al dente. What I also do is I always take a 2-cup measuring cup and I pour it in the boiling water and I take it out and I set it aside. So when I toss my pasta, I pasta with the pasta water.
Give it a little bit of that.
That's starch. It's still going to be boiling. Did you salt the water?
No.
No?
It's okay, don't worry, you can do it now.
Fine.
Don't shoot that.
No. You can either chop some fresh parsley on it, add a little bit of sour cream or a little bit of ricotta or a little bit of heavy cream, Parmesan or Parmigiano Reggiano. Serve it over a bowl of pasta. Delicious.
Cheers, salute.
Salute. Thank you.
Thank you, it was fun. I mean, truthfully, for the guy that's doing it at home, it is quick. Especially not like tonight, of course. But if they go to the store and they buy a bag with all the chopped stuff all in it, and they crush a piece of garlic and they throw the veal in, I mean, that's all they need. There's not much going on.
Seconds. It really is.
I mean, what takes up time in restaurants, that's why people are like, oh, you usually till 5 or you go